Hello fellow bin raiders and welcome to an extended thoughts video as a follow-up to my Mass Effect Andromeda Q review. Now this video is going to be a commentary of sorts, and if you haven't seen my Q review on Mass Effect Andromeda, then do click the link here. That'll take you to the video. You can watch it, you can check it out. It's pretty good. So this video is going to contain some plot spoilers, and I want to talk a bit more in depth about Mass Effect Andromeda, a bit more about what I liked, a lot more about what I didn't like, and what I think the future of the franchise holds for us. So let's get right into it. Just to say that this video is going to be a very impromptu video. I've only got a few notes, it's not scripted. I've actually done this video twice in front of a camera and it just didn't feel right, so hopefully I can do the game a bit more justice with this. So I'd like to start on the good points, because I thought I was very negative in the Q review, and I will be negative in this extended thoughts video, but I wanted to say that the game has things I need to credit, and for one, the graphics. The graphics are beautiful for the game. I did talk about optimization issues, but even on medium and high, the game is absolutely jaw-dropping. It's beautiful. It's the most visually enjoyable Mass Effect game so far. The graphics, they've done a wonderful job with the design, even though the animations are still a bit iffy. Character dialogue and the companion relationships are good. I will come back to this point, but they are good. There's a lot more going on here. It's a lot more in depth, and it feels as natural as it could be with the understandably weak writing in some places, but I do enjoy character interactions in this game, and I enjoy the companions as well, the squad mates. I really actually like them. You know, Vetra, Drac, PB, Cora, Liam Costa can fuck off, Jarl. They're all pretty good, apart from Liam. I say that jokingly, but I also have never really enjoyed human companions in Mass Effect, and that includes Miranda Lawson and Jacob, and Caden and Ashley I didn't particularly enjoy as well. They're always, you know, the aliens are more interesting most of the time. Combat and skills are the major selling point, I'd say, for Mass Effect Andromeda. The combat is really, really good. And last night, in fact, I spent a lot of my time playing some multiplayer, because I had touched upon it, but I really hadn't got into it. And it's actually quite fun. I did have some lag issues. I don't know if that's just my internet being crappy or the servers being crappy, but the combat works really well for multiplayer. Whether that's a good thing for the series as a whole, I'm not sure. But I really, really enjoyed it. And the fluid movement and the jumping and the boosting mechanics makes everything so much more fun. And put in with the skills, you really do feel a bit like a badass going into every fight. It's great. The combat is brilliant. It's really well executed, and I've got no qualms with that. It is definitely the major strength of the game. The strike team. I like this feature. I didn't touch on this in the review. You've got these sort of strike teams that you send out on missions. It's very inconsequential, but I sort of like that stuff. And I guess it's a way to link in with the multiplayer. Yeah, sure, I understand that. But I think it's sort of a good system where you send these NPC teams off on missions and they level up and they get traits. I think that's particularly interesting. People might disagree with me, but it's a positive for quite a negative game. Mods and weapons are wonderful. I've heard a lot of critique about some weapons made it in, some weapons didn't. I'm a bit upset that we didn't get heavy weapons back, but I like the weapons and the mod system like quite a lot. I love the assault rifles and the SMGs and the shotguns. Everything feels really weighty. They've all got their pros and cons. It's a great system. The item system is brilliant. Open-end story. Now, spoiler alert, obviously, for this. There was a lot of plot holes at the end of Mass Effect Andromeda. Some people see that as bad. I don't know how I feel. I need to think about it a bit more. Well, I thought about it a lot. I like how it's left off. I've got a lot of questions and that aggravates me, but it makes me hungry for a sequel. Now, if that's what they wanted to do to sell the next game, fucking shame on you, BioWare. You know, you got to sell the next game somehow. I want to know the answers to these questions. I'm hungry enough to want another game. I care, which is, you know, what you should strive for. Although I cared at the end of Mass Effect 1 to see what was coming on, you know, what was next, but they didn't leave as many cliffhangers. I think it'd be a shame if they leave the story here. You know, I want to see where this goes. So, good job, BioWare. People will probably disagree with that point, but to me, I like that. The open world setting is very epic. You know, everything's very big, very explorable, very adventurous. And that's great. They were aiming for that, and I think they've pulled through. So, it messes with the pacing somewhat. The exploration was a bit tedious and slow, and I don't think they had a good balance between the narrative and the open world, but the open world itself as a setting works for Mass Effect, I'd say. It's driving around the different planets and stuff. I can get on board with that if they just get the narrative to be a bit better. The animation has been fixed. Yep, I'm using that as a good point. So, the animation is what you'd expect from a Mass Effect RPG. Not the best, but it does the job. And this comes to the companion thing, but specifically banter in the Nomad. When you're driving up and down the same fucking planet here and there. It's nice to have squad mates sort of talk amongst themselves and Ryder chip in and stuff. I like that. Just need a bit more of it. So that was the good points. Time to get onto the bad points, and there are quite a lot of them. So, the bad points. The plot. I said that this was a good point, and it is a good point to me. I can see the other side of the argument. A lot of things were left unanswered. Now, I'm going to link in the description below Minius GC. He does Mass Effect lore videos, he does streams, and he did a video recently about the 2 major problems in Mass Effect, and I will reiterate what he says and hopefully build off it a bit. I wanted to give credit where credit is due. I didn't want to just steal his ideas, and one of his main ideas was that the plot was left unfinished. That these plot points, these major plot points, were not given enough time to develop, and they were just left out there until the sequel. To me, I'm not that bothered. I guess I'm a bit insulted that they've done this in sort of a consumer setting where it's like, well, we're going to leave this game half finished in terms of the narrative, so you have to buy the next one, which is going to make Mass Effect Andromeda look weak in the short term. In the long term, is it a stepping stone for a great sequel? Yes, but it should stand out on its own, you know? The first plot point they left open was the mysterious benefactor of the Andromeda Initiative, which was really odd that this person is so mysterious and they murdered Jan Garson, and we never really got an answer to that. Ryder's mother was another plot point. These obviously being major spoilers, but they left that open for a sequel. The Quarian arcs and the Elcor and the other races coming over were attacked by a mysterious enemy. It was all left open, hopefully for a sequel and not DLC. I'll talk about that a bit more later. The exploration, although very good, ruins the pacing of the game, and this was another point by Minius. It's just so slow. The Nomads driving about the planets, the maps are too large, even with the fast travel, you know, all the loading times to get there. It ruins the pacing of the game, and without that, when the game slows down, we want a good narrative to fall back on. We want the squad mate interactions, and we want the plot to grab us, but it doesn't because of all these cliffhangers and loose ends. There's just nothing to enjoy during the downtime, you know? And that makes a struggle with Mass Effect, because that's very important. So you've got this combat, which is great, but you've got the exploration in between, driving between point to point, which is okay to begin with, but then it gets really boring. It's just a bad way of designing things. Someone said it best. They prioritized the gameplay over the story. That was abundantly clear. Now, some people may argue that the Mass Effect series was weakest in the gameplay department, the sort of third-person running up to a wall and the cover mechanic. Yeah, okay, that was annoying, but the story is what we really fell in love with, and they just put it on the back burner for this. You know, I like the combat, I really do. And if this was a multiplayer-only game, maybe it could stand up on its own. Maybe not. With huge multiplayer games now like Overwatch and CSGO, I think Mass Effect Andromeda would have just been swept away in it. And it will be. People won't be playing this multiplayer for too much longer, I suspect. but that's just my take on it. They really should have concentrated on the story and the single player and the narrative first, and then implemented the multiplayer. I mean, the combat couldn't have taken that long to figure out. Just adding jump jets and boosters shouldn't really have been that difficult. The tasks of the game are fucking abysmal. Whoever thought this was a good idea to have little sort of side quests where you scan 3 of each things on every planet, it's such a bad idea. It's such a meaningless, pointless thing. And everything in Mass Effect 2, almost everything you did in Mass Effect 2, felt like it was achieving something. Felt like it was pushing towards this effort, this goal. This just feels like fucking busy work and fetch quests, and it's so crap. You know, there's no sort of these quests to help the sort of the outposts on Eos, and Vold. These tasks didn't feel like that. They just felt like busy work, chores. It was pointless. And there's so many of them. That, of course, they are not compulsory. You know, they're just side quests. You can ignore them. But the sheer presence of them being in the game, it's fucking shit. It's terrible. Now, this is something I've been debating with a few people. I haven't heard it said much. I'm not sure what the community thinks. Who could be sure? So I might get slaughtered for this. The Kett are boring. The Kett are fucking boring enemies. The Kett are basically really shitty design collectors. Okay? They are fucking green, bony sort of dudes that look really boring. They look like swamp people. They take people and turn them into themselves, i.e. the sort of collector thing. They're really uninspired. You know, their design are two-eyed humanoids. Okay, we've got plenty of them. And I think they've got, is it digigrade legs? The backward legs with the backward knees? Ooh, crazy. Same with the Angara. The only friendly species you meet in the Helios cluster. The Angara are fucking boring. You know, I don't know what I expected. Sentient gas clouds or, I don't know, like a race of wiener dogs. I don't care. Anything apart from the fucking Angara, man. They're just these two-legged things with 2 eyes and like fucking head flaps, and they exude electricity. I don't know, man. They're just shit. It's really disappointing. I care a lot about the Turians. I care a lot about the Batarians, even. I care a lot about the Asari, the Hanar, the Drell, the Elcor. You know, I've learned those races, and I've really got into them. But the Kett and the Angara, I just don't give a fuck. I just don't care. And what's all this about this extended family bollocks for the Angara? That's like their only feature, and it's really boring. I want to say as well, the Angara have this thing where they're very emotive and they're in touch with their emotions. But there is a plot point in the middle, right, that, going to be a snarky internet critic here, I saw coming. I don't know how many people did see this coming, right? Turns out that the Kett are taking the Angara and transforming them into Kett. Ooh, they look exactly the fucking same, right? I saw this, as soon as I saw the Angara, I was like, they look like fucking Kett. So they're taking Angara and the exaltation, this stupid religious bullshit that's really dumb, and they're turning them into other Kett. Fair enough, fine. But, like, it's just lazy writing, because Ryder finds this out, right? And Jarl finds this out, and they tell the Angara, the entire Angara species find this out. And there's no impact. You go back to their world of Aya, and there's no impact. They don't discuss it. They don't really talk about it. Maybe someone murmurs, an NPC murmurs on the street, oh, did you know, like, Kett or Angara? There's nothing. You know, these are supposed to be emotive creatures. Shouldn't there be, like, fucking days of mourning or, like, a ceremony or some shit? And then later, we find out that the Remnant are, like, this machine race created by the Jardan, which are this race of super beings that terraform the Helios cluster. And the Jardan made the Angara. The Angara are an alien-made species. They're not natural. They were made for the Helios cluster, right? And the fucking Angara don't even care. Like, Jarl is like, oh, this affects me in some way. But, like, fucking show us. Show, like, make something emotive and enjoyable and inspiring and you know, heart-wrenching. Show us that this is destroying the Angara and they have to live with this fact, but they're just sat there on fucking Aya and they're like, oh, well, turns out that some fucking being made us and we're not natural. Well, isn't that a surprise? It's just, it's lazy writing, man. It's really fucking lazy writing. I want to make a point as well. For people who have completed Mass Effect Andromeda, wasn't the last boss fucking shit? Oh man, it sucked. Like the last push to the Citadel in 3 was almost the same thing. It's just waves of enemies, but there was some fucking build up and stakes to that, you know. And like in 2, when you face the Human Reaper, that's fucking cool. And the Battle of the Citadel on 1. This is fucking boring. This is really lazy. Right, you fight in like a pyramid room with a Reaper architect who barely, like, touches you, by the way. You just shoot his head a few times. Barely interactable. And waves of Remnant. It's so fucking uninspiring. I would have taken a QTE sequence with the Archon, you know, where you're like slashing in with a, that would be so cool, like a fucking sword fight or something, anything. I'm one of those weirdos that really likes quick time events, you know, and you just think, like, the Archon's done all this, they're going to take the entirety of what you know, every single species. They can take the Angara, the Turians, you know, the fucking Ket. Not the Ket, sorry. The Angara, the Turians, the humans, everybody. They're going to take everybody, he's going to exalt them and make them Ket, and he's just going to spread it around the universe. Aren't you fucking pissed? I'm pissed. I want to stab a fucking Omniblade right for his fucking Japsy. But you don't get to. He just plugs himself in like the Matrix, and you just defeat waves and turn his power off, and then he just flops to the floor. What the fuck, BioWare? This is not catharsis. I want to fucking stab him in his dumb fucking ring head. It's just, it's so disappointing. Why have that as a last boss fight? Why? I said as a positive point that I really enjoyed the companion banter and the squad mate interactions. And I did. Can we have more, please, BioWare? There wasn't enough. And I'm going to link it down below in the description. There is an interview between Mass Effect follower and Danielle Rain, who is the voice actress for Vetra, who has become one of the more loved Mass Effect characters. You know, Vetra's awesome. Vetra really does make the game. And she said her favourite lines, or her most memorable lines, were between Vetra and Drac, or Vetra and Jarl. These interactive lines where the two squad mates talk to each other, because it creates a character, because it creates something that's believable and enjoyable, because it makes the world a lot more real. We need more of that, BioWare. And this coming from someone who, Vetra's lines to, I think, a romance option, some of them were cut, which is a shame. And Vetra is still like one of the most popular squad mates. I think she is the most popular behind PB. And still, like, her lines have been gutted. I don't know how many, but we know that lines had been cut from the game. And she's still the most favourite. And it goes to show you that interesting characters that are written, I think written quite well, can become favourites even with that level of writing. So make more of that. You know, do more of that writing. More scenes, you know, more interaction. Make things more believable. Add comments on what you do. Maybe actions you take that squad mates comment later. And this is going to be difficult to write, but if there's anybody that can do it, it's fucking BioWare. You know, make these points where the characters will criticise you for choices you've made, or question their loyalty. You know, don't make them just mindless slaves. Have romance options that cause problems with the group, and maybe the group questions the romance because it might get in the way of the mission. All that stuff adds those dimensions to the character which are so important in games like this, because it's you and your squad against this massive force of evil. But, you know, you're fighting for a cause, and you need to be a cohesive team. And adding that extra level of interaction would be brilliant, you know. I want to talk about the multiplayer now and bring things down a bit. People have called it pay to win. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it does have microtransactions to buy these crates. Now, I don't think that's needed. It's a AAA release. Mass Effect is a high-selling game anyway, and if they had just done it properly in the fucking first place, you don't need to be greedy with microtransactions. What was the point in this, BioWare? Why do this? It's not a bother to me. I don't really care, but it just feels like it's been added in for the sake of making money. And of course it has. BioWare is a company. EA is a company. You know, they've put money into this project. They want their money back. Absolutely understandable. But having this clear show of corporate greed in a game that, you know, was once called a space opera is not good. It's a game that's sentimental to a lot of people, you know, so I think it shows negatively on the game. Another little note that I want to make is that the worlds are a little bit cliche. You've got 2 desert worlds in the game, for some fucking reason. They're too big. They've got very little character to them. They're beautiful, they're nice to look at, but they're not nice to be in, which is, you know, quite a bad thing. The plot is weak, and the twists are very easy to see coming. Mass Effect Andromeda isn't a bad game. It's an okay game. Maybe it's even a good game, but it's a bad Mass Effect game, and that's, you know, that's pretty pathetic. So I want to talk in this final section about the future of Mass Effect, and I want to clear up something right now, is that there are a lot of rumours going around. I might be a bit late to the party, but there's a lot of rumours going around saying that BioWare has been split up and Mass Effect Andromeda is on ice. Now, a lot of people from the industry have come out and said that this is standard practice, especially in a big studio where you've got a conglomerate with a lot of design studios under its wing, where one of the studios will finish their big project and then their people will be sent over to other studios to help finish their projects. It's just another way that they micromanage. It's not BioWare being split up. So this is standard protocol, but EA have said that they are happy with the direction of the Mass Effect series and they think it's in good hands. Although, according to the sales figures, EA were hoping to make 3 million, and I'm not sure if that was an estimate before or after review scores, because of course there was no reviews allowed until a day before sale, a review embargo. Thanks for that, EA, because, you know, fucking consumer advice and consumer opinion should really be given to consumers before they buy the product. There you go. So the sales estimates was 3 million. It sold 2.5 million on all platforms, which is 500,000 less than they had estimated. I don't think that's a lot. Probably is a lot. I will never make 0.5 million, but that's just them. Mass Effect 2 sold 4 million on Xbox 360 alone, just to put that into perspective. Mass Effect 2 sold just over 4 million on Xbox 360 alone. Jesus Christ. That puts things into perspective. The follow-on from this is that BioWare Montreal has been left with a skeleton staff who are working on multiplayer and maybe DLC. There have been DLC released for all 3 Mass Effect games. So I see no reason for them not to release DLC for Andromeda. It's something that I maybe hopelessly expect. I think Mass Effect Andromeda was a victim of greed. Now, I can't blame anyone for this. We just don't know enough. I can't blame EA. I want to. I fucking want to. But I can't blame EA. I can't blame BioWare. I can't blame the hype train that fans generated. Something about Mass Effect Andromeda was off. It's been rushed. It's a rushed game, and you can really feel that in the design, which is a shame. It is a victim of greed and a victim of hype, and I've spoken on hype before and how dangerous it can be. I think with all the rewrites they had to do, it's just left not enough time to really develop the narrative, and they probably already had the gameplay down, so they've just shat the game out. It's a shame. It really is a shame. People are negative about the game. Fans are negative about the game. I'm negative about the game. And I think these people are negative because we care. You know, at least we're not blindlessly supporting BioWare and going, oh, you know, this is good, you've really done well. A lot of people are negative. Some people are positive and some people like the game, and I'm not judging you. If you really think that this is the Mass Effect game you wanted, congratulations, because you're probably enjoying it a lot more than I am. But being blindlessly and fiercely loyal to a game just because you like the previous games, or you just don't want people to pick on your favourite series, is pretty bad. I have a name for those people. They're called Assassin's Creed fans. No, I don't actually think that. But I'm staying hopeful with Mass Effect Andromeda. I would like to see a sequel, and I would like to see a storyline-driven DLC. Now, there is a caveat to that. There is a plot point at the end of the game in the epilogue where you hear about the Quarian and the Volus and the Elcor, and I think they're on maybe one arc or several arcs, and they are attacked by a mysterious enemy, but they don't call for help. I'm not sure why that is. We're never really told. It's left open. Please don't add them to DLC. We need time to introduce them. You know, we need that sort of build-up, and they deserve to be given the time to be introduced and their stories to be told. Because if you add it in DLC for the fucking sake of multiplayer, and I know you would do that, EA, you fucking greedy pricks, if you add them just so you can add the characters in multiplayer, that people can unlock them or buy them, fuck you, right? Because they deserve better. You know, people really like Quarians. I am one of those people that really likes Quarians and Elcor and Volus. And if you just add them so you can add the characters in multiplayer, fucking shame on you. Add it in the sequel, please. You know, I don't want a 2-hour campaign DLC where we go and save the fucking last arc and they're just fucking shoveled in and they're not given the proper introduction and time to meld into the atmosphere. That would be bad. People might disagree with me on that, but please save that to the sequel. In the game, there's this thing between Gil and Jill. It's part of his loyalty mission where she's a part of the breeder initiative and she's trying to get people to breed and build up the population, and he's against it because I thought he was gay, but apparently he's not gay. I don't know, he might be bisexual, something like that. That's a cool conflict. I'd like to see more of that in the sequel where, you know, there are some couples that gay couples, or maybe just couples who don't want to breed and they're being pressured into it by these, you know, the difference between survival and choice. That would be cool. I know it's like a modern day thing, but that would make it interesting, you know. I think that would be an awesome twist. I've never seen that in a game. Let's do more of that. More banter, okay? More squad mates. Citadel DLC. This stuff is important. Let's get more interaction. Maybe not too many squad mates, you know, in Mass Effect 3 or 2. Well, you had a lot in both of them. The squad mates we have at the moment are fine. Let's have some more interaction. Remember the Citadel DLC from Mass Effect 3? Let's make some of that. Let's have some off time. Let's have some characters talking to each other and exploring their backstories. That interesting shit. Let's fucking do it, BioWare. Woo! Let's do it. I'll support you. I'll buy it. I'll buy all of it. Linear versus open world. People have been asking for this. Will Mass Effect Andromeda 2, or whatever they call it, be like Mass Effect 2, where they go for linear instead of open world? I like the open world. I don't know what they're going to do. I wouldn't mind linear. I like Mass Effect 2. Let's see what they do. Movie night. I want more stuff like this. Let's give us interactions outside of combat and outside of all the rigmarole. Let's do game nights and let's go all to the Nexus at the same time and have lunch and stuff. Character interaction. Very important. Let's have more of it. To wrap things up, show your support. Now, I don't mean like mindlessly following what they do and praising them. Show your support for BioWare. I know a lot of Mass Effect fans want BioWare to bounce back from this, and they will. Give them critique. Show that you care. Make a noise, because it does help. Comments and Reddit posts, people think it's pointless, but the more we voice ourselves, the more likely things are going to happen. We care about BioWare, and we moan because we care. I'd like to thank you so much for sticking with me. If you got to the end, thank you. Give it a like if you liked the video. Comment down below and tell me what you thought about Mass Effect Andromeda, what you liked, what you didn't like, and what you expect from the future. Subscribe if you want, that'd be pretty good too. Thank you so much for watching, Bin Raiders. Keep bin raiding, and I'll see you next time.